Hi, everyone.
Hello.
How are you, Rhonda?
I'm doing good, trying to keep warm.
Oh, where are you right now?
I'm in Winnipeg right now. I'm staying in a hotel downtown.
Oh, okay. Yeah, quite cold here.
Very cold. Well, back home in Opaskwayak, it was like minus 56 at
Ooh.
one point, so it's been very cold.
Oh, yeah. So maybe we should introduce ourselves. So right off the bat, my name's Patrick. I'm with One Trunk Productions. So we've been doing all the tech for the Music for the Masses live stream series, and I will be hosting the Q&A afterwards.
Awesome. I'm Rhonda Head. I'm from Opaskwayak Cree Nation, and I've been involved in the music industry since 2010. And I recorded several CDs. I've won. I've had 16 music nominations for music awards, and I won 6 international music awards.
Whoa. Okay, so I guess we can start the concert. I'd just like to remind everyone to please comment and ask questions during. I'm going to try my best to get to all of them, but maybe I'll sneak in some of my own questions as well. Okay, anything else before we start, Rhonda?
Just enjoy the show.
Okay, perfect. All right, see ya after the concert.
Benson, my name is Rhonda Head. I'm from Opaskwayak Cree Nation, and I want to thank the Killarney Turtle Mountain Arts Council. Thank you very much for inviting me here, and I'm really proud and happy to share my songs with you. The first song I'm going to sing is called KISAHKIHITAN, I Love You, and I wrote that at the Banff Center for the Arts, and I wrote it in my Cree language, and also composed the music based on the landscape of my homeland on Opaskwayak Cree Nation up in Northern Manitoba by the Pas. And I have a really exciting announcement to make that I re-released the song and I collaborated with the Prague Symphony from Musiversal. So that song is currently out right now and available on all social platforms. And it's a real beautiful piece. KISAHKIHITAN. KISAHKIHITAN, KISAHKIHITAN, KISAHKIHITAN. Bemati So the next song I'm going to perform is called 500 Years, and I wrote it at the Banff Center and when I went there for a music residency. And when I went there, I just kept to myself because I didn't want to share my energy with anyone, and I wanted to focus on my songwriting. So when I walked into my hut, something just passed through me. I thought it was a ghost. but I went into my room and then observed the room. There was a grand piano there. There was a light at the top of the hut. There was a chair and a desk. And I just soaked in the environment. And then all of a sudden, all these emotions just came running right through me. That was the time of the Harper government, and he let it known. He wasn't shy to let it known that he didn't like Indigenous people. The Harper government was in power at that time, and like I said, all these emotions and something came right through me, and then I grabbed my pen and I just started writing, and I was getting mad. I was crying, but I was still writing, and I was thinking about my late mom that went to residential school, and they cut her hair. She had long, beautiful hair past her buttocks, and they cut her hair, and because of that trauma, she was never able to grow her hair back again, and then we also lost our language because they were punished for speaking their language. It was also at the time when missing and murdered Indigenous women was becoming in the forefront of the news, and it was starting to get out there. Meanwhile, it was going on in our community for a long time. It was also around the time when Idle No More came about. So this song came to me, and I believe my ancestors channeled through me to write the song, because I wrote it in one afternoon. And then I went back to my hut, and I went back to my room, and I slept for a while because it took so much energy out of me. And then I came back that evening and I wrote the melody again based out of the landscape of my homelands of Opaskwayak Cree Nation, and 500 Years was born. 500 years ago, across the sea they came, invaded our land, and took away our home. Mother shared a story, they cut her hair in braid, punished for speaking Cree. Why were they so mean? How do I get over it? 500 years of pain, past hurts are very haunting. Internalize the pain, the stories make me cry. Our people suffered so, stolen and abused. Genocide was here. Where have they all gone? Our sisters, moms, and friends. 1,200 souls of beauty, each one of them all loved. How do I get over it? 500 years of pain, past hurts are very haunting. Internalize the pain. The treaties are not honored, the grass the color green, the rivers are a-flowing. Does this mean anything? 7 generations, they say it takes to heal, to rise above the sand. to be kind. My wish for all humanity, to love and to be kind. Lots of good things happened for me at the Banff Center, and this song came out of the Banff Center. The melody came out of the Banff Center. I already started writing it before I went for my residency there. But it's about relationships, about men, well, any relationship, I guess. But the other person is a player, and the song is about getting played. And it's also for the men to listen to it, because sometimes they don't realize what they put us women through. So I wrote this song, and it's not only true for me, but a lot of women shared their stories with me about their relationship, and from those stories and my experience, this song came alive. It's called Played. Don't let him fool you, don't believe his lies. Just when you think you found a nice surprise, charming and handsome, yeah, too good to be true. My head in the clouds now, my heart just followed too. I fell in deep with both my eyes wide shut. It felt so real, so foolish not to see. A flick of a match, a spark ignited bright. I couldn't believe it was happening to me. Don't let him fool you, don't believe his lies. Thought being played was done by other guys. I thought I was special, but it was only lies. I feel so foolish, it happened to me. I wasn't the only one that he would see. Burned and played, that's not merrily. A lesson learned quickly, a spark that burned out fast. I'm back in the game now, shattered from the last. Don't let him fool you, don't believe his lies. Just remember, there are other guys. Being played isn't fun for anyone. I up and played, yeah, now he is done. Don't let him fool you, don't believe his lies. Don't let him fool you, don't believe his lies. This next song I'm going to perform, it was written, I collaborated with Stu Porteous, and it's about the missing and murdered Indigenous women, which is an issue that has been going on in the Indigenous community for a long, long time, and it just recently got spotlight in the news, and we had an inquiry. So Stu wrote the song, and he asked me to sing it for him, so I agreed, and it's called Voices, Voices, Voices. Darkened silence took them from us, the missing women of Indigenous. Voices, voices, voices cry anger and pain. Voices, voices, voices remember their names. Sisters for sisters, mothers for mothers. Only through inquiries we will discover. No stones left unturned until the voices have been heard. Voices, voices, voices cry anger and pain. Voices, voices, voices remember their names. Hand in hand together we stand, all a nation, all demands. 'Cause darkened silence took them from us, the missing women of Indigenous. Voices, voices, voices cry anger and pain. Voices, voices, voices remember their names. Voices, voices, voices cry anger and pain. Voices, voices, voices remember their name. Voices, voices, voices cry anger and pain. Voices, voices, voices remember their name. The next song I'm going to sing for you is called Awaken, and the song was inspired for me to write from the youth from our north. And what inspired me was when I took this young girl from Grand Rapids to Ottawa, and it was a real spiritual journey. And we were stopping in reserves on the way to Ottawa from Winnipeg. And while we were there, each reserve that we went to, they greeted us, the leaders and the spiritual leaders greeted us in their community, and they fed us, and we did some ceremony. And my little friend that came with me, she grew up in the city, so she wasn't exposed to ceremony. And I asked her, "Are you understanding what's going on?" And she looked at me, and her eyes sparkled, and she said, "Yes, I understand." And she got it. She just got it, and it just like the blood memory of our ancestors just blossomed in her. And when we went on that spiritual journey, and that's what inspired me to write this song, and it's called Awaken. It's in our blood, our DNA. It bonds our past today, ties to future ways. The connection is strong. strong. The time is now. Don't be afraid. We've had it all along. Oh, we can, oh, we can, oh, we can. Through our stories and our song, ancestors are here. Awaken your soul. Your ancestors would be so proud. They've been waiting for so long. It's time to wake up and be strong. The time is now. Don't be afraid. We've had it all along. Oh, we can, oh, we can, oh, we can. At this time, I'd like to thank the Killarney Turtle Mountain Arts Council once again for inviting me to be part of this program. I'm really proud to share my music. Thank you for allowing me to be part of it and share my stories and my music. And if you'd like, stick around for the Q&A after the show. My last song is a song that I performed on my second album. My second album's called Nikamun, and that I recorded that in the Cree language, and I recorded Cree hymns that are sung in my home community, but I'm sure they're sung in other reserves as well, and all communities. They're all hymns and they're beautiful. So what I did, I put a spin on the songs, and I made them into classical. So the song is called How Great Thou Art. Kisimantu Katipe Chikian
Bravo, Rhonda. Bravo.
Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah, that was great. Highly enjoyable.
Awesome.
Oh, we've got some comments coming in. Mildred says beautiful with
Thank
one
you.
exclamation mark. And Wendy says beautiful with 2 exclamation marks.
Thank you very much.
Okay, are you ready
Thanks
for some
tuning in.
questions?
Sure.
Okay, so we have questions from the audience here. And I've had this on my list of questions as well. Who are your musical influences?
My musical influences was my grandfather, my late grandfather. He was probably a tenor, and he sang so beautifully. And he lost a lung because of tuberculosis, but he could still sing. And when he sang, he had a really loud, booming voice. And so he was part of one of my musical influence as well. And then I accidentally um, got into classical music. It wasn't a passion of mine to like. I wasn't a young little girl and dreamt of becoming a classical singer. It all happened so like it came to me because I went to school in Toronto, and while I was there I didn't know a soul, so I thought I'd go into acting, singing, or dance. So when I was there, I already had some musical background, so I thought, well, I should just go into voice. So I found a teacher there, and the phone book was like that thick. Remember when we had phone books?
I do.
So I looked in the music section, and it was like that thick of teachers and music schools, and I thought, oh my goodness, how am I going to choose? So I went into that inch. I went into the half of it, and I just went like that on the phone book, and I called that number, and the teacher that I found happened to live in my neighborhood in Toronto, and Toronto's like a big metropolis city, so it was like really um, uh, amazing that I found somebody in my neighborhood. So I could have walked there, and when I went there, when I went to his house, his apartment, I knocked on the door, and this beautiful man answered the door. He looked like Warren Beatty, and I almost ran away because he was so handsome. but I stood my ground. I said, no, I'm gonna go through with it. So he invited me in, and here he happened to be involved with the Toronto Opera Company, and I thought, well, you know what, whatever is gonna happen, I'm just gonna try it out, and it turned out really well. And so I always say classical music found me. I didn't go looking for it.
Yeah, it really did. You just you got lucky with your finger in the phone book.
Yeah.
Oh,
My
that's a really
finger
cool
did the
story.
walking that day.
Okay. Grant asks, what is your priority, the music or the telling of a story? Oh, that's a great
I
question.
I think my priority in my songwriting is writing the story. Uh, I started writing a lot more songs, and there's always a story involved in my songwriting, and I find that for me it works for me because it's my own personal story, and I have a lot of feeling to and emotion that goes into the songs that I write.
Yeah, your lyrics are deeply personal. Uh, One thing I wanted to ask, kind of going along with songwriting, is it. You kind of said that there's some stories about your songs without. It sounded like the process was very solitary, but then you mentioned some collaboration. What's your usual process, and which do you prefer, or is it just different for each song? Is solitary or collaborative?
It's different for each song. My melodies come from the landscape of Opaskwayak Cree Nation, and how they come along is I take pictures of the landscape, and then I graph them out on a scale, and that's where my melodies come from. So
Oh,
the music is part of a priority for me too. It's special because it comes from the land where I come from. And collaborating, I just started dabbling into that, and I absolutely love it. It's so much fun working with our other artists, and hearing their different genre, and then my voice, and how we can fuse it together and make beautiful music. And it's so much fun, and especially during COVID, and like I've been doing a lot of collaborating with other artists, and
oh, really?
it's really awesome to mix and to work with other artists from different genres.
Very cool. So still able to stay creative during COVID. That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Okay, we have another question here. What advice would you give to new emerging artists as they try to make their mark in the industry?
Oh, I have lots of advice to give them. I'm actually the Indigenous coordinator for Manitoba Arts Network, and we just did our third run of educating the Indigenous emerging artists into the music industry, and we've ran so far. There are 15 people, 15 musicians have gone through the program, and some of them are just blooming in the music industry, and it's so wonderful to see. Some of the things I would give advice on is distribution. Make sure you record if you want to go into radio. Make sure your recording is radio ready. Master your song. Get some mentors in the music industry and take some vocal lessons. And when I give that advice of vocal lessons, it's to create better technique. And like everyone has a great voice when they're going into the singing industry, but when you take vocal lessons, you're taking care of your voice, and you learn some really excellent technique.
Okay, very cool. So one question that was asked in a previous Q&A that I thought was really interesting that I'd like to ask you is was there a song that changed during the recording process or started out as one thing and then ended up in a completely different spot?
It did, and you know what? How I record it's everything's not solid when I'm going into the recording studio, so it's always changing all the time, and it's still alive when I'm going into the studio. And one of the songs that did that, well, several of the songs, one of them that sticks out into my mind was "Awaken." I didn't know how it was going to end, or I didn't know how if I was going to go high or stay low, or keep it at a low range. But I found that going high really worked for it, so that's what we went with.
Oh, cool. So you don't go in with a solid idea into the recording studio. You just kind of bring it all in and see what works.
Yep, that's what I do.
Cool. Okay. Another audience question here. Where was your most memorable concert?
I have several of them. One of them was at the Viper Room in Los Angeles. That was the most memorable because I had a wardrobe malfunction.
Oh my!
but I ended up pulling off the concert well, and everything went well. Everything turned out good. And the other one was performing at Carnegie Hall with the Flin Flon Choir. That was one of the most amazing experiences in my life. The Carnegie Hall is a beautiful venue. The acoustics are crazy, and it was just so exciting to perform in that venue with the Flin Flon Choir.
Oh wow, very, very cool. So in the concert you mentioned a couple times the Banff Center and a retreat out there in a couple different songs. I was wondering how many songs came from the Banff Center, and what do you think made it such a creative environment? Was it the change of scenery or the solitary aspect of it?
The change of scenery, the solitary for sure, because we get our own huts, and we just make our own creative space. The mountains, the fresh air, it's just all accumulate. All of it comes together, and there's so many when you're hanging around other artists, you pick up that artistic energy, and it's such a great energy to be around, and you just feel inspired by being around other artistic people. And I think that's where all the songs came from. It was such a great experience, and the location, and it's a great place to be for sure.
Oh yeah, so beautiful out there. Okay, another audience question. Where do you want to perform before you retire?
The one place that I want to perform is at the Sydney Opera House in Australia. And I'm in contact. Before COVID happened, I was in contact with the Indigenous liaison. So it's probably going to happen.
Okay. Oh, that's great.
and
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 yeah,
the other
hard to
and
get
the
better
other
than Carnegie Hall too. But
oh yes, and the other thing I want to do, I'm putting it out there. I want to sing "Oh Canada" in Cree at a Winnipeg Jets home hockey game.
oh yeah, put it out there, and eventually it might come. I'd like to
Yes,
see that too.
yes, that would
Okay.
be wonderful.
What songs are you working on now, and what stories are you hoping to tell?
There's actually two songs I'm working on right now. One, the first song, I have a really amazing producer that I found in New York City. So this is my second song that I'm working with him, and the song is about remember when you're 16 and you have a big crush on a guy or you're a partner who you're interested in, and that's what the song is about. It is like having a crush on well, I had a crush on a guy, and I was too shy to let him know, and I was loving him from afar, and the song's called "From Afar." I
A very
recorded
classic 16-year-old thing.
I recorded it, but I recorded it with an opera melody. So
Okay.
so I'm gonna re-release it, but with my own melody that I composed, and it's gonna be in the style of jazz.
Okay. Very cool. Quite a mix of different genres you're jumping around in. Okay. Grant asks, are you able to work with other Indigenous technicians, producers, engineers, arrangers, etc.?
I've worked with other. I would work with them if I had the opportunity to, but the way that my singing career has evolved, it's always been non-indigenous producers, arrangers, and engineers.
Okay. And yeah, I guess from your mentorship, you're helping foster a new generation of Indigenous artists, and that's great.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's really exciting to see them blossom into the music industry. Like for myself, I wish I had that because I started in 2010, and all the way everything that I did it on my own. I learned it on my own, and now these emerging artists coming in, they're so lucky that Manitoba Arts Council started this program, and they're learning a lot from other, not only from myself but other Indigenous artists that are successful in the industry.
that's amazing. I can't wait to see the future generation of artists coming out with those supports. Okay, I think we're almost out of time here. So, Rhonda, is there anything you'd like to say in closing?
I just want to thank the Killarney Turtle Island Arts Council again for asking me to be part of this program. The sound and the location of the concert was great, and yeah, thank you again, and I hope you enjoyed my music, and thank you for the questions.
Okay, thanks a lot, Rhonda, for joining me, and yeah, have a great evening.
Thank you
Bye,
very
everyone.
much. Bye.